One winter's evening the sexton's wife was sitting. Warm by the fire, she relaxed and did some knitting. Across from her by the fire was sat a overly large and old black cat, whose name, Old Tom, did perfectly befit him. The embers in the fireplace now burned low. Still the master of the house had not come home. The moon was high when the master came, asking over and over about the name. "Who's Tom Tildrum? That's what I want to know." His wife looked up, her face a mask of dread. "What's happened, love? What's with this name?" she said. He stood weary and long by the fire, shivering and chattering and feeling dire, and stared into space as he shook his puzzled head. "At Fordyce's grave," he said, "I dug the frozen ground, when sleep took hold and I slumped without a sound. Then out of the silence there came a mew that cut through the dark and the cold night too, so loud and so clear that it echoed all around. I peered over the grave to see what voice had cried, and 9 black cats by moon's pale light I spied. Each cat bore an identical chest, black as the night with a white star crest, and held in their paws a small coffin did abide. A black velvet pall draped over the tiny frame, and atop it a crown of gold, just like a flame. And all at once they stopped on each third stride, raised their heads and to the heavens cried, and together they called, meow, each one and the same. As they drew near, their eyes like emerald fire, I froze to the spot, my limbs feeling quite tired. 8 of the cats bore together the bier, with slow grim steps and a purpose clear, and the largest 9th paced gravely before the choir. With solemn grace they circled the grave around. Each third step they took brought again that echoing sound. My shallow in-breath grew ever so tight, as before my eyes in the pale moonlight they stopped at the spot where I lay there on the ground. The leader proud then strode before the rest, his rasping voice rising from his heaving chest. "Tell Tom Tildrum," the leader said, "that old Tim Toldrum is sadly dead." And while daft it sounds, it was clear that it weren't no jest. The cats then turned their gaze upon my face. I shivered and quaked beneath that moonlit place. But then at once they slunk away, with no more to add and no more to say, and left me alone in the graveyard's cold embrace. Then I raced home, my mind a-whirl with fright, and I found you here, sitting in the hearth's warm light. And do you see old Tom staring at me like that? You'd think he understood me if he weren't just a cat. Did he always have on his chest this spot of white? Tell me, my dear, have you heard tell of this name? For how can I warn Tom, if I know not of his fame? But before his wife had even spoke, her voice had cracked and damn near broke, for old Tom's eyes now gleamed with a wild green flame. Then the cat spoke, his fur bristling with pride. "What, old Tim dead? Then the king of cats am I." Then without a further sound, he was up chimney's throat in a single bound, and vanished from sight, never more in the house to abide.